Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. You can say you want to change, but are you actually doing anything about it? In this clip, I share my own struggle with staying stuck in depression and what finally shifted when I stopped making excuses and started taking responsibility. I hope this helps you along in your journey as well, and I hope you enjoy. There are many people who say they want to change, they want their life to be different, but they do nothing to try to make that change come about. They're so comfortable in living where they are that they don't even make that change. And if that's you, that's okay. You know why? Because I did the same thing. I did. I stayed stuck in depression for forever, for no reason. I didn't have to. I just didn't know what to do. But I wasn't really trying to work to overcome it either. I wasn't seeking revelation to let me know what was going on in my life and why I felt the way that I felt. I was just coasting. I was just going through. Oh, poor Josiah. Woe is me. Life sucks. Why are we all here? What are we doing? Oh, I'm so miserable. Instead of stopping and taking responsibility for myself, saying, dude, why are you miserable? What is going on with you? Why are you allowing yourself to stay in this place? Maybe you need to try to figure out how to get over this. I wouldn't do that for myself. So don't feel bad if you're in that place and you've been experiencing something similar. It's okay. There's no judgment. But now that you hear this, now that you understand this, do you want to stay where you are? Do you want to continue to live the life that you're living? Because you can. That choice is yours. You can make that choice. You can decide that, you know what, I don't really want to do what it takes to change, so I'm not going to. And you can continue to live the life that you're living right now. And it will change and it will fluctuate here and there. And over time, who knows how long, maybe you'll get to the point where you can actually break free from whatever it is that you're going through. You know, for me, when I was dealing with the depression, there was a long time I just didn't even know what was going on. And then once I got to the point where I started to understand what was going on, it took almost around 8 years or so for me to get through it and get over it. But it's because I wasn't really I was doing that whole coasting thing. I was self-pity for my situation and why life was against me and how unfair it was, blah, blah, blah. All the excuses about why Josiah isn't living the life that he wants to live and doing the things that he wants to do. Poor baby. And then once I got to the point where I was like, it's because I'm not taking responsibility for who I am and where I am in life. Once I got to that point, I just started taking responsibility. Boom, things started to shift. Things started to change. By the end of it, it took me a very short amount of time to actually start to conquer depression compared to how long I just wallowed in self-pity. So this isn't judgment against you, but, you know, now that you hear it, what do you want to do? Are you willing to do what's necessary to change? I just did a episode on this. Are you willing to pay the price? Last week's episode. You can go check that out. It's talking about, are you willing to really get in there and do whatever necessary to get over yourself? And that's why this week we're talking about, do you really want to change? Because those two things go hand in hand. Do you want to change your life? If yes, are you willing to do what it takes to get over it? If yes, start doing it and you'll start to find freedom. I guarantee you will. Your healing isn't about wishing that life gets better. It's about choosing over and over and over again to do the thing that you need to do to get to the point where you're living the life that you want to live. And here's the great thing about it. Living the life that you want to live doesn't have to be a ton of money, a bunch of nice cars, a huge mansion or house. It doesn't have to be that. You can live an amazing life and not have those things. There are people all around the world who don't have those things and they are living an awesome life. Why? Because they're full of peace. They're full of joy, full of happiness. They're very grateful, full of gratitude for the things that they have in life. So don't think that just, well, you know, I will not feel good or be satisfied until I have X amount in my bank account or this huge house that I live in or these, you know, expensive cars that I drive, whatever. You don't have to get to that place. Part of the trap that we live in within our society around the world is that we have to attain a certain status of financial freedom before we can start to feel good about ourselves and who we are. And that isn't true at all. You do not have to be at that place. Now, having more financial freedom can help. It can help make you feel better. But there's only a certain point that money will take you to before you have to start dealing with the root issues of what's going on in your life in the first place. Money can help alleviate some of the stress that you have, but you still have the issues that you got to deal with. So don't think that you can just, now I have a bunch of money, things are all better. There are people who have a bunch of money and their lives are miserable. So it's not about that. It's just starting to accept the peace and joy for what it is. It's starting to learn that life in itself is the gift. We try to ascribe all kinds of meaning to life and all these different things and pursuing and striving and trying to make a name for ourselves, trying to create a legacy, doing all this stuff so that we can feel like we have a purpose and we have a meaning. And the meaning of life is just to live. It's to be here. It's to live. It's to have peace and joy. That's it. If you have peace and joy in your life, what else do you need? You don't need a lot more than that. It doesn't mean that you don't go after it. It doesn't mean that you just allow yourself to just sit in poverty or anything like that. I mean, some people might choose that depending on their life paths, their goals and ambitions, but it doesn't mean that you can't go after the things that you want. But going after the things that you want, if you don't have peace and joy, what does it matter anyway? What does it matter if you go after that? I mean, Jesus talked about this in the Bible. What profits a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? I think about it like that. It's you try to achieve and overcome and strive to get to this place where you have what you think is the epitome of success, but you haven't figured out how to be peaceful or generous or kind or compassionate or joyful along the way. And so when you get to the top, you're still cranky, mean, negative, frustrated, combative, whatever the negative attributes are that you're holding on to, you're still that person because you haven't learned how to change to become that peaceful person instead. So what do you want? How do you want to live your life? What are you willing to do to get there? I think if more people would learn how to develop and cultivate peace and joy from the inside, if more people would learn how to do that, our world would be 100 times better. Because we wouldn't all be striving after greed. We wouldn't all be striving after fame and fortune. We wouldn't all be striving after money, trying to just get as rich as we can so that we can feel better than other people because they don't have as much as we do. If you can learn to live in peace and joy in your life, that stuff doesn't matter as much. Doesn't mean that you can't get it and you can't accumulate it and start using it for good, but it just doesn't matter as much. Like having a nice car, who cares? What does it matter? If it has 4 wheels and drives, great. It gets me to where I want to go, great. Would it be nice to have one that's a little bit nicer? Yeah, I guess. But it's still going to do the same thing. It's still going to have problems. It's still going to have issues. You're still going to have to take it to a mechanic here and there. You're still going to have to get new tires. Still has, a warranty that is going to expire. You're still going to have to sell it at some point and get a new one. Doesn't matter how expensive it is. You're still going to go through that process. So does it matter if you're spending a bunch of money on it or not? Not really. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter at all. Nobody's going to remember you for that. Nobody remembers anybody for the nice car that they drive or the huge house that they lived in. That's not what people are remembered for. That's not the mark that people make in life. And yet that's the thing that we are taught to strive after. But that doesn't do anything for your life. That doesn't really add value to your life. Mother Teresa didn't have anything, and yet we still remember her. It's not that you can't have stuff. We remember Edison. We remember Carnegie, for those of you who are familiar with either of them. But you don't have to have everything to be remembered. And what does it matter if you're remembered anyway? After a few hundred years, most people are forgotten. A few thousand years, everybody's forgotten. We might have some names that, we hear every once in a while. There's not a lot of people going out and searching, all these people that have lived in the past to figure out who they are, unless you're interested in history, which not a whole lot of people are. So what does it matter? At some point, your name's going to be forgotten. You're going to be in the ground, turned back to dust. Who cares? Start living a life of peace and joy now, whether you're super successful or not. Why are you allowing that to tear you away from the peace and joy that you could be living in? Thank you for taking the time to watch or listen. If you enjoyed this clip, you can check out the next one in the series by selecting the video here on the left, or if you'd rather dive into the full episode, you can select the video here on the right. Lastly, don't forget to like this video, leave me a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to my channel to be notified of future videos. I hope you have a great day. I can't wait to see you again in the next one.